Okay, what is going on, you beautiful people? And today we're going to be talking about a great little subject called the truth about spiritual warfare. And let me tell you something, I have been experiencing this so much recently, and God has been putting me through lots of tests, and the devil has been testing me as well. And I got baptized tonight, so it's thing that I realized true that sometimes you're going to experience spiritual warfare whenever you're very, very close to your baptism. And here's why. It's because the devil doesn't want you to fully submit to God. The devil wants you to basically go off track and go back to him and go back to lust, go back for the world. And that's the thing. When you get tired of living for the world, you will start to notice that you will start to be living righteously. You will start to be wanting to live basically better, because there's two ways you can do this. You can obviously live for the world, but you can live for Christ. And living for the world, let me tell you, my friend, will not make you happy nor satisfied. Maybe during the time. Yes, during the time it'll make you satisfied. You'll start to be like, oh, this is so awesome. But then as the time progresses, you're like, oh no, I don't want any part of this. And for the longest, I was living for the world and I got tired of it. I started to understand that that was not fulfilling my heart. Going out and doing stuff and sleeping with different people and doing all these things is it didn't fulfill my heart, and I felt very empty. So I'm sharing my story with you today because spiritual warfare is a real thing. Whenever you get closer to being baptized, or whenever you get closer to try to go to God, the devil is going to basically try and pull you back on that chain. But you have to break through that chain, my friend, because you're going to be tested by him. You're going to be tested by the faith of God as well too. We're always being tested. We sin. We sin at times. That's just a part of about being human. But also, basically coming to terms with those sins. You don't have to keep doing the same things that you do that are following you back into sin. There can always be a different outcome if you basically want to change that. And my thought process, whenever I was at church today or tonight, I was so anxious. I was sitting there just anxious, sweating profusely. I'm like, oh my gosh, when is this going to happen? Because, the devil doesn't want that. He doesn't want you to be fully submitted to God. So he'll do everything in his power to basically throw fear, anxiety, basically all of these things that will make you want to kind of opt out. I have lots of doubt. There was times where I wanted to be like, no, I'm not doing this, because I was letting the devil dictate my thought process. And that's the thing. You just can't do that, because it's always going to be there whenever you doubt yourself. But also you have to understand, you don't have to feed into those very, very negative thoughts about it. And, whenever we got done with the sermon, I walked through these doors, changed and stuff. And then it was go time. And I went with my brother, and it was just so beautiful. It was so beautiful because, me and my brother weren't really close growing up. We always were butting heads. And I think having that beautiful moment with him and being able to connect with him on that level was so beautiful. And whenever I got dunked underwater, I just knew when I came up, oh my gosh, my life has genuinely changed. Coming from, a very broken kid, a very angry kid all the time, basically always doing dumb stuff, to now where I'm at today, progressively just expanding my faith and expanding myself and trying to become a better man. So it's one of those things where if you're watching this, if you want to become a better person, if you want to improve, you can do it. You have the abilities to do it. But basically, you have to understand, it all falls on you. Nobody else can change except for you. So I think when you come to terms with that, whenever you can accept that, and whenever you can basically put that into action, your life will change. Because in the back of your mind, you don't want to do those things anymore. You don't want to keep living for the world. You want to keep living for your faith. Because let me tell you something, the most beautiful thing about living for faith, it gives this unconditional love inside your heart that you will just basically admire it. It feels like this light inside your heart. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know that feeling. You know that feeling of love. And the world cannot give you that feeling of love. And I think it's so beautiful that if you can, go through these trials and errors, and if you can basically go through these storms, it's a part of the process. We're going to go through storms. We're going to go through basically things that are going to break us. I talk about this so much because you have to experience that. That's just a part of it. But I think whenever you can basically come out of a storm stronger than ever, and you will start to realize, hey, God's got me. I was so lost in this storm, I didn't even realize that God was actually pulling me out of it. And I think when you can come to terms with that, everything will be okay. Life goes on. things happen, but also the right things fall into place, the right people fall into place, and that's the most beautiful thing about that. So, you're going to have spiritual warfare. The devil's going to try and pull you back at times, but that does not define you, okay? I mean, I'll give you examples. Like, this week was crazy. You know, I was displaying all that on my loved ones. I was broke. I mean, I'm still broke now, but like, sometimes you got to be broke. Sometimes you got to be broken inside and broken on the outside too. And that's the thing. You just have to keep and implement that thing in your brain. Like, hey, better days are ahead. I'm going to be okay. I will get through this. Because you will get through this. You will. You know, that's the beauty. There's always beauty in the struggle. And God is always here. But sometimes we just can't accept that, and we can't fully listen because we're so connected to our ego and we want to control things. You can control certain things, but you can't control all things. Sometimes you just have to leave it to God. You know, I think whenever you can have that mindset of, you know, hey, God's got this. I need to stop controlling this. This is gonna play out how God wants it to play out, and that's so important. But you know, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope this video kind of inspired you to kind of expand your faith and you know, find yourself, because you're going to struggle, but that struggle doesn't define you. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for watching this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.